Hey, hello, hello. Hey, oh. Hello everyone, welcome back to day 2 of our podcast for the, it's not a podcast, it's a live stream, going through people's photos that I have grown appreciation for the year. A lot of really brilliant images that are still yet to be showcased, so I reckon what we'll do is we'll just kind of maybe hang off for maybe 10 minutes or something, and then sorry, let me just put myself in the situation. So I reckon we'll maybe hang off for maybe like 10 minutes while we just wait for a few more people to come in. Thanks for everyone's lovely responses to the previous posts yesterday. It was good to see people kind of passing around their work in the stories, and I've heard from people that they got new followers and new engagement from their images coming out to the world, so that's really nice to see. And yeah, it's just been a really fun few 24 hours just to kind of like show people that, hey, you know, there's some cool photos out there, and I think it's a good place for people to kind of notice it, especially at the end of the year, just have that little retrospective. And also I'm having a bit of time to just kind of do some extra research for the shots that I will be presenting today. So I reckon today will be a similar amount of time dedicated to each image. Probably go through maybe, I think it's like 20 of my top 50, 20 of my top 50, and then I think about 30 of the honorable mentions. I think that's kind of the way I went last night, and it seemed to work well because everyone seemed to be relatively engaged, and then I didn't have to get too tired with kind of half-assing the later analyses. So yeah, it should be fun. I'm keen. Just still going through some images that I need to check up on. Feel free to send a message on the chat just to see if anyone's actually up and watching the game, watching the live stream. Hello Tim, good to see you again, man. Thanks again for watching last night. Hopefully you had a bit of fun. I got some had some mates text me that they were watching this, but they were like watching it through their kind of like while they were cleaning, and I was like, oh, that's actually not a bad idea. So I mean, we got the Christmas tunes out, and you know, it all seems to be doing just kind of like a relaxing kind of day for photos, etc. So if you ever need to just, you know, do the dishes or, you know, clean up this place, feel free to listen to me while you do that. I mean, it's not really going to be any kind of high octane, focus, attentive work involved, but do what you like, guys. I mean, the more the merrier if you look at the images, because at the end of the day, it's all about seeing. But you know, you can always just have a quick glance at the images, and then put that in your brain, and then just continue with your job, or continue with what are you doing your homework, etc, etc. I reckon we'll start at about 5:45, just so that I can give people a bit of extra time to get here, as well as I can just go through the images and just double check that all my facts and context are there. Just gonna quickly do a tiny little edit just on the on the screen. Just I have a quick error with one photo. I'll fix that up before I run into a bit of shoot. Oh, also guys, I'm just giving a quick content warning. There are a few shots that may be a bit triggering for some people. It's not that many that are like that, but I'll make sure to give you guys a heads up when there's a few images coming up where it is a bit more kind of intense. So bear with me while I just make sure to give myself a note that I'm not gonna give you guys, a bad time. So yeah, I'll also make sure to do it as well when I share the images on Instagram. We'll start very shortly, and then we can almost get started. Probably get started now, I reckon, to be honest. I'll just quickly get any shots that might need a bit of extra context, and then we'll move on. Alright, Alright, I'm gonna start. Welcome. Let me get my video up of me. There I am. Hello. Hello everyone. So welcome back to day 2 of our 2023 live stream, going through images that I have selected throughout the year that I find very interesting and effective in what they're going for and the intentions in the artist. It's a mixture of local and international famous kind of photographers, but a lot of my year has been, you know, seeing people just up the road or around the corner who have made just stellar work, and I just would like to, you know, give them a platform to kind of share some of their work, as well as kind of just have a bit of like a chill few nights where we can just kind of look through some good images and yeah, appreciate them and stuff. It's pretty chill, it's pretty informal, so we're not really like going into, you know, real art theory critiques of these images. It's just stuff that really attracts me, and yeah, and also kind of personal stories relating to some of these photographers that have kind of made my path better based off influences and just help and just being good people, etc. So it is just kind of a uniformed kind of celebration of people who take this up in the craft of photography. So let's start with Steve Dimitriades. He is Zone Focus. He is a very talented kind of abstract street photographer. He believe he's part of a pretty well-known collective. I think it was called. I think Steve was part of like Oculi or something. I might be wrong, and Steve might call me up on that already and be like, no, that wasn't me. But even if he's not, he definitely well deserves to be on a very appropriate collective, because he's got a very good eye for kind of visual abstraction and kind of Soul Later-esque imagery with how he frames and whatnot. He definitely has a knack for colors, which is always impressive for any street photographer. I'm very picky with color, if anyone knows that. So when he posts colors, shots that are really interesting, it's very impressive. I chose this image mainly because it's got a lot of beautiful shadows and lighting coming from just the natural sun, but also just how the how the light has formatted into that kind of Pac-Man shape, and with that added human element to it, it creates just more of a kind of scene than it is with just the scene in itself, because you could always just come back and wait for that light to hit, but you know, you got there at a good time, the light was really nice on it, and you know, that yellow glow of the Pac-Man just kind of really elevates it, so it's a standout. Good job, Steve. This is Ben Blesser Hassett. He is predominantly a cinematographer. I've seen a lot of his videos, like music videos, commercials, so that's kind of his field. However, I believe he went to China, I think it was like a year ago. I saw the only image this year, so it technically still classifies as a image I saw from this year. As mentioned yesterday, there are some images that have been posted just a bit before 2023 or slightly even further, but that's okay, because it's all about just kind of the images that I've seen this year, and this one has always stood out to me as a really great shot. He's definitely applying his cinematography language to this image, and just the way the colors and the fog kind of, you know, gloss over this landscape. You know, it feels very rich in kind of atmosphere, and the way he's captured this scene of, I don't even know what's going on, but it seems like a gentleman is catching a lift to a place. He's maybe on his way to go to work or something like that, and it's clearly quite cold because he's got this different puffer jacket of a red tone to it. And even though it's quite drab and monochrome in its kind of color tone, it just still feels very colorful, and the way he's graded this image is very impressive. I remember I hit him up and I was like, what did you shoot this with? Like, because this is like a very clean image, it's very nice. And think from memory, he told me he just shot it with like a really cheap Canon DSLR, and that just really kind of, put my perspective out, and just was like, well, you don't need a really big expensive camera to get really solid images. And it's just kind of what you take is what's most important. And he did a really good job of picking this specific moment and in a specific location, and it really works for me. So I really do like that. Sorry everyone, I'm just struggling here. Sorry everyone, just struggling with my management of Adobe. Jackson Gallagher. Jackson, from what I've seen from him, he does more kind of events and commercial work, not so much doco work, but this one is quite an interesting picture because he was actually he was on vacation in Morocco when that big earthquake happened. It was a 6.8 magnitude earthquake, and apparently it was the biggest one to hit in later century and stuff, and it was a pretty devastating natural disaster that happened in Morocco, and Jackson just happened to be like right there when it was going off, and he's got a whole series from this from the earthquake. This one's just I think it's just striking in its simplicity of it. A lot of the traditional media would post photos that have just incredibly overtly, this is the devastation that's occurred in Morocco, and there's not really any room to kind of give the viewer some sort of their own kind of emotional ambiguity to it. And this one just kind of has this kind of feeling of, it's just feels a bit timeless in the sense of it clearly implies that there's been some sort of earthquake or some sort of destruction, but it doesn't imply any sort of, I don't believe it implies an image of war that you would see, because generally with war images, all those other buildings are devastated as well. Those kids aren't just nonchalantly walking, there'd be a lot more dust in the air, but then just having this shot where it's just this one spot in the middle that's just collapsed, and it looks like there's a door that's in the middle. It just kind of implies the natural disaster, but also how it's kind of affected this Moroccan alleyway. So it's a good find, and I'm glad Jackson isn't, severely injured didn't get severely injured from it, but it would have been quite a scare for sure to, go to a place that's foreign and something like this happens. It takes you back to back in 2004, the Bali, the Thailand tsunami. You got a lot of people on vacation during Boxing Day, and this horrible event happens, and it affects hundreds of thousands of lives, and some people just couldn't even get back home. They are so out of their element with, they've lost everything, they've lost all this, it's their items to communicate, they don't really know where to go when it comes to embassies and stuff. So it was kind of not only just a horrific disaster for the locals, but it was also for tourists and people wanting to just have a good time, and I was just struck with reality, which can be quite intense thing. So I do like this image, and I love kind of the context around it makes it more of a impactful thing. Ed Goldner. Ed's similar as well to Ben. He's a cinematographer as well. He does a lot of music videos, advertisements. I think he did shoot a TV show last year, Love Me. I think that was it. It was season 2 of that. Film industry's been dead this year, so I'm not too up to date with what Ed's been doing, but he's quite a in-demand cinematographer, so I'm sure he's been keeping busy and doing well. Then I remember last year he did go to Turkey. Oh no, he went to Iran, sorry. He went to Iran and he took his meeting format, I believe, to his kind of to these villages and to these people in Iran, and he did a really interesting just kind of documentary series, just kind of capturing their lives and just getting this kind of really authentic kind of representation of these people. And he seemed to be really invested into this kind of community, and it shows in the images for sure. He did a few really nice portraits as well, but he also kind of did kind of candid life like this one. I do like this one. This one's the one that stands out the most. It's got just lot of elements working together to make it work, because we got this, you know, mise en scene of kind of what these communities live with, how there's no tables, you know, they all sit down to eat. It's very communal, you know, there's lots of kind of, seems to be, there's a lot of social activity here. Doesn't seem any sort of like social media that's kind of ruining the functionality. And then it also shows just kind of like the, you know, the spirit of kind of being all like just a jolly spirit in a way. Then this guy in the middle here is just like, you know, he's directly in the middle of the frame, your eyes are on him, but also you're seeing that, you know, the reactions of the people on the side, they're kind of just like treating it very normally. It's not like, if someone did that in a, like, you know, Australian household, everyone would be kind of like, what are you doing? Why are you standing on the couch? Or is that not even a couch, it's just standing on the floor, you know, with your fist out, like, what's he intending? Is he like, is his backstory that he's like, you know, just fighting? Is he kind of just showing off his kind of like demeanor, etc.? But it's just treated so normally as part of just kind of this family, and I'm not too familiar with like who he's actually with, but it just kind of reveals kind of a lot about the family dynamic, and adding to the whole mise en scene of just the building in itself, just with this like the Iranian kind of or Turkish, I think like Turkish, I think it's like Turkish or Iranian, but just kind of the you know, the artwork behind him, the clocks, just the whole interior just kind of reveals a bit of the culture in the way. And then obviously, like, I think the best bit as well is like gives you the opportunity to look a bit deeper, and you see this gaze, you see this very like focused look into the camera. I'm sure Ed probably maybe asked him to do that, but even so, like, he shot on film, so you know, it's impressive to get that really great gaze. And I do like the angle. I do like how it's a bit crooked. I like that because it's like fighting isn't a very structured kind of thing that the body does. It becomes like a bit kind of angled and a bit like distorted in order to get the right shot and get the right kind of fist to it. So I think all this works really well, and Ed's just killing it with his film work. Would love to see more photos from him because he's definitely got the eye for it. Julia Coddington, she is from Sydney, and she is just like similar to Gavin. Gavin works really close to his subjects and generally has a certain aspect of the human feature in the foreground of it. Julia's kind of thing is that she hangs about swimming pools and kind of public places where people were in the water. So she's very kind of communal to these group of people, probably hence why she's able to get so close, because from what I heard in an interview, she kind of has got to know these people, and they kind of know when she's around that she's probably taking pictures, so people are much more kind of like, they don't really acknowledge her around them as much, because, you know, when people are in a state like this, when they're in the pool or when they're taking photos of kids, you know, it can always be a bit of like a challenge to get so close and get these shots. And it seems that Julia's kind of built a bit of a she's built like a reputation around this area where they know what she's doing, and they know that, okay, yes, she's here to take some really great pictures. And this is one, for example, that I really like. It's just the implementation of the feet and kind of just the posture of everyone. She's got a very great eye for composition. That's like just very impressive way that she's selecting her images that give this very painter-esque vibe to it. And I just really like that she, even though she shoots in a similar location the whole time, each photo just feels really different. You know, when you should really, everyone should really look up her work on Instagram and just see all the different types of shots she's got. And I think she's gone to, I think, India recently, and she shoots similar style as well, like this. And there is just like a lot of just like power and emotion to these pictures that I really love. And I think just her just having such a affinity for people is such a impressive feat for street. So definitely recommend looking at Julie's work. She's super cool, and yeah, just like every time I see an image from her, I love it. It's great. Jefferson Lopez, he's a street photographer from Sydney. I almost met him at this event that Streets Australia organised, Razal, the Razu photography kind of exhibition. It was outside by a bar in Sydney, and one of my works was exhibited, and so was, I think, Jefferson's as well. And yeah, it was a really cool idea, and it was good. I think they've done a few more a few more of those. I haven't been able to attend because it's in Sydney, and Sydney's a trip and a half, and I don't have money. But either way, like I think Jefferson's different kind of always has his work up, and I didn't get to say hi to him, but we keep in touch on Instagram, and definitely wanted to give him a shout out here. And this one in particular, I really like just this use of framing with this empty space, but it still has a lot of intrigue to it. And the ocean, like he shot it in a really great time of the day where the light isn't all just like fully harsh on the water, where it just kind of becomes just too overblown and there's no like contrast. But he seems like there's like got the shot where the cloud has gone over this dude, but also we still have this edge light of him coming from the water's reflection. So we have such great like definition in our subject, and he's not like blending in with the background, because that's always a stiff up with photography, especially black and white, is your subject could get blended in with the background just through the tones. So the fact that this sky has been lit from the water and it's creating an edge light creates the separation, and it makes you stand out more, and also then it draws your eye more to him. But then to add to that as well, there's that swimmer in the middle of the frame as well, which is in the exact same part of the image, like just a bit higher, but your eyes don't have to wander like too much, which sometimes can work in a like scene that requires a lot of like examination. But for a shot like this, where the intention is so much of like the landscape and the place, having both subjects of interest in the center really helps you draw a focus. And also like a little detail that I like as well is just like there's this like little triangular bit that further kind of directs your point, because we have our subject at the top, and then we come down, there's this little arrow, and then it hits our subject here. And I think it just kind of really works well for it. And there's always this advice about shooting horizons where, you know, if you shoot with the horizon at the top or the horizon at the bottom, it's interesting, but if it's in the middle, it's not interesting. And so Jefferson's applied this quite well, just like having this horizon at the top here, still have the sky, because if it was like completely the top, it would be too much. There'd be too much ocean. But I think it's a really great balance of the sky and the ocean and just the way light forms. So it's a really good job, Jefferson. Louis Mitchell. Louis Mitchell's from Melbourne, another street photographer. He's doing really well. I haven't seen much of his work recently, just because I've just seen so many works, but I always remember this one stood out for me when I saw it, just the way he's kind of composed the shot and the colors involved with it. You know, it's pretty hard to get. I think it's like 4 red scenes in this one shot. Like, you know, there's always kind of this like hope in street where you can just get like a whole frame that's like all these colors and that's it. Like it's just like it sticks and that's it. But then you can also run into the risk of these image, like a fully red image, just kind of being too much. It's being too overwhelming. There's no definition on what you're looking at. And so I like this shot a lot because it does have the variation of the colors. It still keeps up the kind of justification of the color. Because with color for me, it's like if there's distracting colors, then it kind of puts me off. It doesn't quite sell me, but every part of this frame has a specific color tone in mind that works for it, and it becomes like a very colorful image. And, you know, if you look at it from a distance as well, it still looks really pretty. It looks like a very kind of spotty kind of painting in a way, like pop art. And then also it's just like you can define each section of the red based off what you're looking at. So like the feet obviously defines the kid's legs. You have the bin, you have the black part of the bin defining the lid and defining just that it is a bin. Then you have all the arms that define each people. And you create this kind of like, okay, so these 2 arms represent these 2 people. But then you add this other arm by the purple person, which also separates the purple from the red. So like if you didn't have those things, like if this kid had shoes that weren't as bright, or this arm wasn't there and this arm wasn't there, just everything would just kind of merge and you wouldn't have the separation. So I think that it just works that, he's included, this stuff's been included, and plus the film flash as well just adds that kind of like timelessness to the colors. This is Kate Garrity. I think I might have stuffed up the research on this one. I believe this shot was actually from 2003, not from the Ukraine, but Kate is currently, I think she might be back now, but she had been doing a bunch of work in Ukraine taking photos of the soldiers there. Believe this photo, I'm just going to quickly just double check my facts because I don't want to, especially with photojournalism work, you don't really want to stuff it up. But I believe this one though was actually taken in 2003 during the Iraq War. But definitely look at Kate's work for sure. She's super amazing, and her humanitarian approaches to photography is very cool, and she's won lots of really good awards. She won like the International Award for Photojournalism, and she's also just got a very authentic tone that I think replicates the kind of atmosphere of what war is. And yeah, she's really cool. I really recommend looking at her work for sure, because she's done a lot of really cool stuff. But this shot in particular, I like, despite the context that's a bit older, just the way it's framed, you know, it's got this kind of really ominous dread of pending violence, and, you know, a deep abyss into kind of the trenches of war. Like, the gun obviously symbolizes that they're prepped to do something. There's a silencer as well, which kind of implies maybe there's something else that they're doing. Maybe it's something covert, or they're trying to, they're heading into a secret kind of area that they need to be very kind of like subdued to it. And due to the light, it kind of looks like it's getting dark and it's getting nighttime. And then just the way the lines kind of come to the soldiers here, and we're all heading into this kind of void with, we don't know what's over there, because the fog is kind of it's kind of covering what we're really seeing, but we know it's not going to look good. So yes, Kate's done a really good job, and also just like I really appreciate her getting close, because it can be scary. Naja. So Naja is a street photographer from Melbourne, and I met her at a workshop with Jesse Marlowe last year, and she's actually just completed a book. I think it's like called the 365 Project. Oh no, sorry, is it? No, this is the 365 Project, where she's basically been taking photos every day, and she does quite a lot of like abstract photography where it's like more minimal. But she has finished the book. I think it's called Two Cities or Two Lives, where she's kind of comparing similarities of her time in Beijing and her time in Melbourne. And yeah, I think she's still selling some books. I do recommend supporting Naja for sure. And then these shots in particular I really like, because they have just such a simple tone to them, but there's just a lot going on, and I really appreciate her eye with what she looks for when taking an image. She's done a lot of these kind of shots, and yeah, really impressive stuff with Naja. And she's lovely, like she's a very lovely human being. Yeah, definitely check out her work. Hassan, Boy Native, he's from Melbourne, street photographer as well. He has quite a great network of people to kind of hang out with to take photos, and every time I'm out, I always seem to bump into him, so he's always active and taking shots, which is really great to see, because, you know, part of street photography is just getting out there and hoping for the best, and Hassan's really seems to be really taking that into account, and some of his images are really impressive. You know, they can really show like the reality of Melbourne and the kind of kooky characters that you see around, and as this one is no different. You got this wasted Batman who's just chilling. I think maybe he's come back from like a Comic-Con convention or something, or because I'm just trying to identify like where that actually is. Like, it looks like he might be on a bridge or something, but yeah, it's just a funny scene. And Hassan, he does. I'm sorry, Hassan. Hassan? Hassan? I think it's Hassan. Don't hit me. But Boy Native, yeah, I usually call him Boy Native, to be honest, but yeah, he's definitely always like looking for characters and then takes a snapshot, usually always on film as well. He's got a great eye with his film photography, and yeah, I think he develops his film himself, or he might take it to Halide, but I do believe we've had conversations where he's talked about like processing film and stuff, so he's definitely got the experience, I think, from doing it himself. But this one's good as well because it's black and white, and his son usually shoots color from gender, and like, oh, actually maybe not, maybe he's actually been doing anything more black and white, but he does do a color as well. But this one really works for black and white just because of like Batman being black and white, and yeah, it's a good scene. Keep it up, and I really do like a lot of these images that he's producing recently. Oh, this is a no brainer. Jesse Marlowe, you know, he's the king. He just kind of just like lives and breathes photography everywhere he goes. He's just looking for something that's amazing. He was my first introduction to straight really. I kind of started photography like more seriously right after I had done a workshop with Jesse back in, it was like November last year, and he really just opened my eyes with the possibilities of street photography. And you know, he's got his name out there for a reason. You know, he's just incredible with everything he does and produces, and he's just like super talented with how he finds subjects and how he blends the backgrounds. And this one for me is my favorite he got this year. You know, because you not only if you're getting a subject that's positioned in this thing where he's crouched down, something you just don't see at all, and then you have this tree that is just absolutely like verbatim mimicking this pose, coupled with this beautiful kind of the abstract elements and the, what's the word, like it's just like a graphic design kind of thing, you know. You just got everything working in tangent to make this really pleasing image. And the fact that like this mate is like just past the pole, he's just past it, you know. He's not interfered with the pole, he's right there. And like you kind of wonder like, what's he doing, like what's happening here? Jesse, image is going a bit kaput. Okay. Yeah, and just like you don't even know what he's doing. Why is he looking like that? And then just these tree leaves, you know, they're just like so minimal. Too much of it would be too much of it. So it's so like just simple, but it's so complex in its way. And Jesse just knows how to find these in between moments and then turn them into pieces of art. So like, yeah, this is my favorite from Jesse. He's done a few as well this year that are really great. Definitely recommend checking them out, and also recommend getting his book. What is it called? It's don't show it. Don't tell them show it. Don't tell them show them. Yeah, really good book. Definitely recommend it. It's pretty much just full of these kind of shots. So I do regularly look back on it just for some inspiration, and it's really great to see it in print form, because images just always look better in print. Oh, we got Timmy, you're up. We got Tim in the house. So Tim's from Sydney. I met him a few months ago. He was going to PAX. I think it was PAX. Yeah, it was PAX. That's kind of like the Melbourne kind of gaming convention, like our E3, I think. And I caught up with Tim for a day of shooting, and near the end of the day, he did send me, he likes his print swaps, so he kind of passed me some of his prints. And this one's really great, like really stood out, because it's just like, what's going on? Like, it's so abstract, it's so strange. I don't really know what's going on. It kind of looks like he's like shooting like a humpback whale or something, like just the way the arch of the this bit here kind of implies that there's some sort of like underwater element to it. And I don't remember where he did shoot it, but it was something very simple. We did meet at Razo, yes, we did. But we had a full proper day, just like getting to know each other in Melbourne, just walking about, exploring Williamstown, which was fun. And then, yeah, and then just passed me this card, which was really lovely. And it was also a really good image, like it was solid. And it's just got this like very kind of nice qualities to how the light is hitting the subject, and well, whatever subject it is. But I just really find it kind of just like hypnotizing. It's a very hypnotizing shot. And I do like it. And I like the empty space. I do like this empty space. I think it kind of just creates this kind of atmosphere of like abstraction that I feel like you don't need every part of the frame to be doing something. I think just the way it's kind of composed with this section as well, it feels a bit just like I'm in space, or I'm in some kind of new dimension that I'm not familiar with, and Tim did a really good job with doing that. He did write a poem with this image, I don't know if Tim, you want me to read it out. It's up to you. But on his Instagram, he has written a poem relating to this image. Can kind of hang tight for a second. Yeah, nah, yeah. Let's keep it a mystery, I reckon. I was just considering it just because poetry is still kind of mysterious. But if you want to like really narrow, if you really want to let the audience kind of like interpret it, then absolutely, like please, like that's kind of the way images work so well, because the audience is engaged to it, you know. So yeah, great job, Tim. Super cool. Stephen Safor, I think. He is a documentarian for newspapers, like a photojournalist. And this one was during this is an image from 2022, but I saw it this year, so I'm counting it. This is where people were casting their votes in the election, and he shot this in Bondi, and it just shows, you know, only people in Bondi will vote in their little tidy Speedos with the sign saying Budgie Smuggler. And yeah, it's a great find. I'm not sure if this was just like a street shot that he got, or if it was for some editorial that it's kind of showing like the culture of Bondi voting in these, bloody cursed electoral system. But yeah, it's just great. It's a great shot. It's really well lit from the natural lighting. Maybe it's lit with a flash or something if it is an editorial shot. But yeah, super cool. I really like it, and it just kind of has a lot of great like character to it and charm. So yeah, that one stood out a lot. Well, we got Nathan. So Nate Geo again's back. This one is the picture that I've chosen from Nate. He has been very anxious to find out which one I have selected as the picture, and Nathan might be a bit surprised just because Nathan isn't known for shooting a lot of this street stuff. I mean, he kind of is, but I know him personally as someone that we work with to do a lot of photojournalism in the sense of like protests and kind of more larger scale events. So looking at this one just kind of is it's really restrained and held back from what I usually associate with his work, even though he has got plenty of images taking more kind of tranquil shots of houses and his trip to WA. But this one is just like a really great street shot for me. It's sparse, it's simple, but it's also very curious. It's very odd, and we have multiple elements coming together to work as a really strong image. We have firstly the legs. What is going on? Is that real? Is it a mannequin? Is someone just like posing? Is someone falling in? You know, what happened to these legs? Why are they in this bin? And then I think what I like about it as well is that he's utilizing this other side of the frame to kind of match up some sort of like connection with the image. I like that these dogs match the feet kind of in a certain different like direction. They're different color tones, which makes them contrast out, and the way they've just kind of like they stick out, like one's a bit further behind and one's a bit more forward, kind of is also mimicking the feet. And then the other end of the frame, we have these hands that are also kind of mimicking these feet. It's kind of like this like trajectory towards the actual kind of subject, which is these feet, but you have these other elements that are kind of like working in for it. And then we have the sign that's like end the stop area, and maybe he's like actually like having a break or stopping in. I haven't asked him about this question because I didn't want to, because he would have picked up immediately that this is probably the shot that I picked from him. So yeah, this is the one I got. I really like it. I think it's a really strong image, Nathan, and I would love to now find out just what's going on and who is that. Tommy B is a fucking fantastic portrait photographer, like incredible. He is insane. He has got such an affinity for characters, and the way he shoots it is just so detailed and so rich and vibrant, of kind of showing the texture of skin in particular and just capturing emotion. He's just got a very good eye for composition and for lighting and everything. It's all natural, but he seems to have a very good relationship with the people he subjects, and he's got this kind of similar Bruce Gilden type method of subjects. He's picking people that are a bit more unconventional from who you would generally want to feel comfortable taking photos of. In particular, there was a series I saw a few months ago at a gallery where he was taking photos of people who had like been beaten up, not like traumatized people, but just like people in fights and people in just like kind of the more dodgy areas of the area. But he's captured such humanity in those images. Unfortunately, they're not up on his Instagram, so I can't see them because that would have been the one that I would have picked. But this one's like kind of in the similar fashion of those images. It's a bit less because the other ones he had is much more front on, kind of profile based. But this one is kind of more of like a documentarian kind of approach, but it still has that exact same kind of raw emotion to it, and I find it a very strong one. And I just love, like, the thing that I noticed with Tommy's images, especially with those ones I saw at the gallery and this one, is that you kind of like have two different stories come in at once when you cover the face with your hand. It's a little thing that I did with the gallery. I didn't touch the picture obviously, but I just kind of like put my hand kind of over the image and covered one end of the face and then the other end, and it reveals like completely different stories and emotion. Like this one in particular, you've got this left side of the frame, he looks actually quite relaxed, it's very kind of peaceful, and he's kind of, it's like a bit worn down, but it's also kind of like, maybe I'm in a spot where, you know, I can kind of be relieved. Some people can interpret a different way. You can also, like, people can interpret it as like he's in suffering and something like that. We don't know this person, but then we look at the other side and he can come off as like really angry or fed up or, you know, kind of smug in a way, and just then the combination of both of these faces just reveal a character that is super interesting to me, and I'd love to kind of know more about him, but it's not much about knowing exactly who he is. It's just feeling kind of the atmosphere of his soul through the image. So Tommy, so good at your portraiture work, and I'm really happy for you that you're, you know, doing so well, and yeah, keep it up, good son. So we're back up to the honorable mentions. So we have Adam Inglis. He is from, where is he from? I don't know him personally, but I believe he's from America, honestly. Yeah, he's American. He's an American street photographer. But this one is based off, it's during a pride parade, and it's kind of it's a celebration of queer identity and kind of involving themselves in kind of free-willed, like very liberating kind of environments. And this one's just like the shot that I feel like really sells on the love and passion of the queer community in America, even against oppression and, you know, tyranny, with how they're treated and how laws kind of perceive them and stuff. And it's just, it reminds me of that, I think it's Albert, the Alfred Eichenhart image where the war had ended and the sailor kisses the female. Will come to me. I mean, it has come to me. It's just the name will come to me. But it just reminds you of this one. But, you know, this one's got just more of a modern twist to it, and it's got, you know, the sensibilities of, you know, today's world of relationships with queers, with the queer community, and yeah, I just love it. I think it's a really great shot. It's really powerful, dramatic, and it also kind of, I believe Adam is also from the queer community as well, so this also is a personal thing that he really involves himself with, and it really shows with his selection. We got Floss. Floss is also a Melbourne street photographer. She does a lot of good work. Like she's also very social, active person on social media, and she's just incredibly supportive with other artists and other people in the street photography community, and also in other genres and whatnot. So she's always there as a presence to, you know, boost people's spirits, which I always admire, and I appreciate her a lot for just like always kind of having a good mindset and a positive attitude to the work. And this one, I love it. It's a great shot. It's awesome. It's great choice of location. It's so like, I don't even know where it is. She's been there a few times, I think, from her previous works. But yeah, insane location and very good selection of people in this frame. And I like this shot a lot because it's not just people just kind of walking and not really doing much in the scene. We have two people looking at each other, and they kind of there's kind of some sort of like, you know, ambiguity of what's going on. Like, are they on a good page? Oops, why does that keep so random? Like, are they kind of like on bad terms, or are they kind of like, he kind of looks like he's like, "Oi, where are you going? Like, you got to get to this thing," and he looks a bit more kind of like vulnerable in that situation. And yeah, I just do really like it a lot. I think just having people do something in a frame rather than just walking, it adds to it, especially when you're doing something with this kind of color palette and this kind of combination of stuff. And everything works well. Like the blacks and the grays work with the dude's jackets, and his jackets. Like, you know, tradies always have a thing where you ever see a tradie out and like you kind of instinctively want to quickly take a photo of them because they have just got such like colorful you know, outfits, attires. And but then what kind of prevents me from actually taking a shot is I actually have to kind of find something that is worth taking. I can't just really bank on the combinations of cool colors and a good environment. I just kind of want to make sure that there's something deeper, and this shot definitely makes it deeper for me. It's simple, but that's what I like about it. I like that I'm interpreting my own perspective on what this is. So Floss, amazing work, and keep up the attitude. You're fucking a queen, and yeah, love ya. Adrian Weir. Adrian Weir, he's from, let me check where he's from. He's also a street. It's a bit of a street theme today, but that's good because street is like my bread and butter. It doesn't say where he's from. I'm gonna say Melbourne. Yeah, I'm gonna say Melbourne. He's from Melbourne, I reckon, because he's taking shots from Melbourne. And this one is just like, it's just one of these things that you just like, he's in the right place at the right time, and he's got this thing that is just like, what is happening? This is really cool. It's just so random. It's just like, what are these like kind of like, you know, pilgrims, like zealots and stuff that have a very like strong affinity for a certain ideology. No idea. Don't really care much about that, but I just find just the fact that he's like they're traveling prams and whatnot, and there's like the duality of these two subjects, and then also the subjects of the family behind them. It's just really nice. It's not, I don't have much deeper things to say about it, but I just think it's a really great shot and very great scene to get, you know. Sean Brown, every photo pretentious title. He loves his titles. That's his thing. Every image he posts, it's like I have to do like a deep dive into exactly what the title is, but he's clearly aware of it. So I appreciate just like, you know, using a different part of my brain. Because honestly, actually on that side note, I do think titles are actually super important with images, especially in street for me, because you can get artists who just write untitled, and I really do like when people do that because it just further gives you the option to interpret things. You know, it's a way for just further audience observer interaction than just like giving out an answer from the title. I work in a different way. I like titles. I think titles are part of the kind of it's kind of like the finisher of the image, and I always kind of like to imply some sort of thing, like kind of sort of mood to it, but I don't like to give out answers. I don't like to be very literal with my titles anymore, so I kind of do quite a bit of research with what I'm looking at with the image, and then figure out a word or two that kind of embodies the image, but also kind of leaves people with opportunity to go through like the 2+2 method, where I'm giving them 2 and then they can give themselves the 2 to make 4. And so with titles in particular, it's just something that I do quite like, and it comes from, you know, from like loving TV shows, especially like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, because their titles also have that sort of effect where it does hammer home the core idea of the episode, but it's also so like ambiguous that you're all just like, well, why is it called this one today? Like, oh, and then you have fans like speculating, you know. It's like part of the fun of like, you just have 2 words, but people are now just coming up with theories of, well, where does this title come into place in the story? And so I kind of apply that philosophy to to my images, but I'm on a bit of a tangent now. I should talk about Sean's work. This one gives me very Luigi Giri vibes, obviously with the beach and the color palettes of these tones. Very just striking beach shot in the sense of just like how beachy it is, how coastal it feels. Like he's picked a really great time with the colors, and the ocean is just super rich with the blue tones, and the yellow works really well against it. And then you have the subjects that kind of define that it's kind of busy, etc. And then also it's the hand. I always think about it's going to sound really bad, but I've been reading like John Berger, Ways of Seeing, and he talks about was it John Berger? No, sorry, it was Roland Barthes. Roland Barthes, Way of Seeing. No, Roland Barthes. Camera Lucida from Roland Barthes, and he talks about the punctum, and the punctum is like the little thing that kind of gives you the punch of the image. You got the spectrum or the spectrum, which is more the broad terms, context, etc. But then the punctum is like this one little thing that drives it home as like an image that kind of sticks out. And for me, it's the hand. It's that hand. It's implying that maybe these two are in this kind of relationship. There's some sort of romance involved with these people. It may not even be his arm, because like, God, that's a pretty long arm in context of it. But it has to be. It can't be the other person's arm. And so we have this like little relationship that is implied through this image, and that's why I really like it. It's great. It's a great shot, and it adds to this kind of romantic space that's beautiful in the beaches of Australia. So great job, Sean. Phil Penman, he is a New York-based photographer. A few months ago, he recently had a show at the Leica store for his work. So he came down to Melbourne to do a talk. I unfortunately didn't get to see him, but he did take some photos in Melbourne, and yeah, he's just like his style is very like specific and different to what you generally expect from street. Like I personally I'm not really into the telephoto aesthetic where you're quite far away and you're getting like tighter shots and whatnot, but Phil's approach to it is very good and very unique, very noir-esque. He's got a very good like sight for the way he can composes that kind of narrow frame and make it like this more dramatic sense of purpose to his work, and this one in particular is really great. And he always seems to take shots where it's really moody, and luckily he got days where it is moody with Melbourne. I mean, Melbourne is 4 seasons in a day, as we know, but it's good to see that he's like really utilizing that. He's picking a time of day that works for what he's choosing to shoot, and coupled with the people walking and then those tram lines at the top, creating this like composition, one field of view perspective, keeps your eye line directly in, plus with the trees and the railway tracks. Like, yeah, the more you look at it, the more actually complex it actually is in a way, because it wouldn't have worked if he used a wide. So that's kind of the thing that works for me, is that he's using the tool and he's making the most out of it. He's not using a long angle lens because he's shy to get into the scene. They've got other intentions and I can get into, but I don't want to. But his use of this telephoto is great. I think it has a stigma, and I do get it. But when you do it in a way like this, where you kind of just know the form, and you know your limitations and you know the opportunities, then when it's done well, it's done really well. And so Phil's great. I think I've got one of Phil's coming up, but I just kind of want to give a bit of context to Phil. Matt Stewart. So Matt Stewart, another no introduction needed for the street community. Matt is a British street photographer. He's been doing this for nearly 3 decades, I think, and he is just so amazing. He's like the British Jesse Marlowe. He incorporates a lot of kind of visual humor to his work, as well as like color matching and finding scenes that are just very abstract and odd, but he's very like purposeful with it. It's artistic, and he uses all the tools of photography to tell the story really well. He's been more active as like from what I've seen. I mean, I was really fortunate to see him at CCP early this year, and that was also like another big part of my inspiration to kind of keep doing this because, getting to meet someone like Matt so early, and him just so casually talking about his work, like it's like just day to day, really kind of opened my mind. It's like, I don't have to think too deeply about this. I can just do it because it's just like it can be done. You can just go outside and you can just hope that there's something, and then with that mindset. And he's also a very good author. He also introduced me to a lot of some of these books that I really appreciate. I think one was Think Like a Street Photographer, Street Photography Now, Street Photographer's Manual. That might have been Gibson, but I know he had kind of a relationship with him to make that book. And he also helped out with Reclaim the Street, which I've had my qualms with it. I don't think it's the strongest of his work, just based off the text that's there. But the concept is awesome. Like, basically, Matt and this guy Stephen McLaren, they spent all of lockdown finding people to interview and document. But he had this approach, which has been kind of inspired by this, where he's finding people who have like a smaller fan base, and they're not quite out there, and their whole thing is to just kind of like show people their work, and a lot of them are just like brilliant artists, and that book was like the place to give them a platform. But I unfortunately wasn't a big fan of it because the writing was just atrocious. It's not good. It was so academic, it was just so ridiculously academic that I couldn't get any of it through my brain. It just wasn't clicking with me, and it's a shame because I'm just looking at such beautiful works. I do have there is like anecdotes from other photographers, which are the best bits of the writing because they're actually speaking like people and giving you like proper context of their work. But then they just whip out all these ridiculous like analogies and comparisons to the most obscure kind of literature you can think of, and it's so unnecessary because this whole book's about like street photography celebration, and then they're just using these words that like even a bloody thesaurus can't work it out. It was just weird. I just didn't get it, and it was so strange because Matt and that Stephen McLaren has made books that I love, like they want stuff that got me into street. And so like if someone who has just started out and they find this book, which is readily available to the public, which is also a bit strange how it is so cryptic with its writing, I just worry that someone would pick that up, read the words, and be like, holy shit, is this the kind of culture of like street where we have to talk like our work is like going to be put up in some underground art exhibition where like no one speaks English and like just like so randomly like academic. So it's just a kind of like little pickup that it's important to have your photographs somewhat accessible. The images don't have to be accessible, they can be very complex, but I think when you're trying to address certain concepts and ideas to people's work, I think it's so important for you to just kind of understand it in a surface level, but then have the option to go deeper into the psychology or the systems of using the form to tell your story. But from that, I just didn't get it. I just did not get it. And hopefully they'll do another one, and hopefully it becomes a bit more kind of like approachable based off their other works. Sorry, that was my spiel again, but just I'm passionate on that because Matt is a great writer and he's a great photographer as well. But he's been very kind of more in line with kind of reviewing books on his Instagram, so he hasn't posted as much. So picking one for like this year was just a bit limited, but this one is just like classic Matt. He's blending these colors together. He's got a great scene, and he has such a good affinity again for his backgrounds and his subjects. He's got this child whose arms are spread and the windmill spread, and the way the trees line up against the kind of windmill with the green car. He loves his cars, which is really nice. He's got a really good series with his like images that are full of the cars around. But yeah, Matt's great. He's a great shot, great photo. If you don't know of Matt's work, just look him up, and every image you'll see is just like a classic, and it's hilarious. They're poignant, and they're very beautiful. So good stuff, Matt. Vinet Fora, I mentioned him yesterday with Raghu Rai. He is from India. He is also just one of the most interesting photographers when it comes to visual composition and blending, colors together through subjects. Fucking incredible way he kind of like some of his shots. Like I can't just show them all here. These two are like examples of it. Where like what like he's so close. He's got there's such a uniquely specific outfit and a specific street staircase, and he's somehow blended it together, like fucking matched by matched almost with these lines, and he's so close, which means, he's right in his personal space and he's getting it, and like this isn't just like the one-off. He does this in every photo. He has something like a dog's tail, or birds, or someone jumping off a pier, but then there's something in the foreground that is like perfectly matching the pattern and the structure of what their subject's doing. I don't know how he does it, and I'm really annoyed because he was at bloody Ballarat fucking a few months ago, and I didn't get to see him. And I was so annoyed at myself. I don't know why I didn't see him, but next time he comes around, I'll bloody absolutely go in there. Don't know how he does it. Would just be like, I reckon he's got some like Harry Potter's like invisible cloak or something. Cause to be invisible in photography is to basically be a superhero, and I think Vinit is a superhero. Oh, my battery's a bit low. Just be right back. Hello, I'm back. Alright, let's continue. How's everyone doing? I'm not sure how many people are on this chat. I know Tim's being a very active participant, which is very well appreciative. Who we got? We got 4 viewers. That's nice. It's nice to have a tiny audience, a little audience. It's good to just have a little company. I like it. And it's always available to watch it at a later date. Alright, let's continue on with the show. Jack Davidson. Jack Davidson is a kind of pseudo fashion portrait photographer, but he is just like crazy. He shoots like the most like intensely visceral photos that you can think of, like stuff you'd find in like a serial killer's book. There's a few more images later down the track that I will show to further prove it, but the funny thing is that he is like a really high profile photographer, and he gets really famous people in his shots. I think that one's Willem Dafoe. He did one with like with Kate Blanchett and Tilda Swinton and Phoebe Bridgers. It's like he's got a lot of clout and he's got a lot of attention from big names, but he shoots it so strange, like it's so abstract and off, but I love it. Like I absolutely love it. It's such a great style and photographer. And there'll be a few more shots of his coming up that are like just my favorites. I love him. And yeah, it's just so cool. I really do think he's just like one of the more unique photographers out there in the fashion sense, and it definitely inspires me when it comes to like creating more disturbing images, especially in portraiture. We got Heather Tichowicz. I'm really butchering that. I'm very sorry, Heather. Heather's from Melbourne, another street photographer. She is so cool, like super cool. Like she's so out there, going to places that are quite intimidating, and she's had experiences dealing with bullshit from people at protests and whatnot, but she still goes to them and she still kicks ass and takes great photos. She's been very active with the Palestinian conflicts that are happening with our protests and whatnot, but she's always there and she's always taking really great human photos of the children, of the flags, of the protesters and stuff. This one isn't from that, but it's just a great shot in general. Like it's like that movie They Live. Don't even know what is happening, like where she is at and what the protest was, but just her being out there and taking photos is really great. So she's a really fantastic documentary photographer, and every time I see her when I'm out, it's just great to see her because she's always just like she's got that mind where she's always like switched on, and she's always like looking for things to do. So yeah, good stuff, Hev, and yeah, I'm keen to see your work as always. We have another one from Goofy JPEGs from Jesse. Jesse's a great photographer in general, and what I like about this one is that it diverts from what he usually does. Jesse does come from quite a kind of theoretical background with his photography. Like, he does think more in the deeper side of like the poetry of images, and it really does show in his work, especially in this one. It's giving that Todd Hido kind of aesthetic quality to it, but it's got a bit more kind of aggression to it, you know. I find that with Todd's work, and as with yesterday with Matt's, Matt. Sorry, Matt. I'm so bad at names today. There's too many names. I can't get them all. Matt O'Donnell. Sorry, Matt. His image of his house, like, there is just like this calmness to it. It's very it's solitary, but it's also got this resonance of a quiet life. This one doesn't feel like that. This one feels angry. This one feels like something intense is going on in there. We're in this kind of grungy-ish apartment, a grungy location. I don't even know what that is, if that's like a dam or some sort of reservoir. But either way, there's like this outback outside. And like the red coming through that is like, just like, are they having like a rave or some kind of like cult like activity? I don't know, but it feels very like intense, and the colors are like murky and kind of dirty. Doesn't make the image look ugly, but it just kind of propels that mood of something uneven and uneasy, and it's like compositionally the same as something like Todd's, but just by having this kind of diverse, this different color palette and this different kind of tone, it just completely changes the context. Same kind of subject of like, I mean, like concept of like what's going on inside these houses, but this one just implies way more kind of visceralness to it. So I really like this one, Jesse. All right, so we're back to our 25 images. So this one is from Bailey McDermott. He is kind of does a few things. This one doesn't really kind of like reflect all of his work, because he does a lot of, I just want to make sure I'm not stuffing this one up. He does do quite some abstract photography, but it is quite more of like on the painting side, and more of like the physical touches and whatnot. So this one in particular is a cool one because it is on film, and it's abstract as fuck, like super creepy and super like, it's one of these photos where I'm just like wondering, like, how did he do this? Like, what's going on here? I'm assuming slow shutter, but then also like he's got this, this glow coming from the subject's face. I don't even know if it's a person. Like, kind of comes off as a bit like a mannequin because it just feels so like stiff and stilted. But it might be a person. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him about it, but I love it. It's a great shot, and just like the reds and how nice the blacks kind of go off from them. Really cool. And yeah, and like his eyes are closed, and that further kind of brings this like dreamy aesthetic to it brings this aesthetic further to like this abstract life that of the subject. Let me talk about, sorry, I just got distracted. But it just brings out this, really intense kind of vibe of surrealness to it. And yeah, it's a great shot. I love it. It's super cool. It's just definitely feeling like something you'd see from like a weird magazine or something, or a music album cover. So yeah, well done, Bailey. Great shot. And also, just giving a heads over on, like, these images aren't like countdowns, by the way. They're not favorite to least favorite or whatever. They're all just like images, just literally from a random curation. I on Lightroom, I like kind of almost like shuffled the images like a deck of cards to just kind of like eliminate any kind of bias and whatnot. And I purposely kind of left the images alone for a few days so I could kind of low-key forget who shot who, because I don't want to like just select images based off who I know more than others, etc. So yeah, they're not just like, oh, this one better than this one. They're all literally equal. Even with the honorable mention ones, like they're all the same value with me as the top 50. It's just like I like this kind of like, it creates a bit more of excitement for me to have more of like a top 50 selection and separation, and it kind of like creates a bit more of like a better pace for the series rather than just dumping with images. I like people to know how many we've got left and how it's structured, because you know, if I didn't, people would be like, oh god, how long is he doing this for, you know? But at least people can kind of get a general gist of how long it's got. Anyways, back to our images. So we have Dong Dam. We brought him up yesterday. He was doing he did a really interesting doco shot of this car that was flipped in his neighborhood, which was very a great place to be for a shoot. I think everyone was okay, so it wasn't like a tragic shot, but it was definitely like a shot of real like emotion. And this one is just, it's just great. It's a great, flavoursome, tropical, vibrant shot. Just like every part of it is just so detailed in its color tones, and it makes me just want to go there. Like right now, I think it looks like shot on film. I think he shot on a drone. Tom's gonna pull me up on this one. Don't know, it might be on digital, but it looks like it's on film. But the way each color kind of comes out is so spectacular, and the diagonal aspect of it, like those umbrellas, like he's literally perfectly split this frame into one half to the other. It's awesome. It's so good. It's just like one of these shots that you just can't really like explain deeper than it is just a brilliant capture of this island. And it's always so much more interesting to have a shot that's a bit more like experimental with its angle, you know. Having a horizon shot of a beach where fucking people are like just sipping in a martini and the camera's from behind, for me it does nothing. It makes me doesn't want to go to this place. But this kind of shot, it does like so much. It makes me want to be there, even though it's a top-down view where you don't see actually what you're seeing on the ground. I get that. I get the vibe. I get the exact atmosphere of where I'm supposed to be and what I'm kind of attracted to. I'd love to know where you shot this, because this looks great. And yeah, Dong's also just a really good person. Like he's very passionate with his cameras. He loves his, you know, medium format and his large format, and you know, he's got a great, you know, energy to his work. I wish I had that as much as him with like how he approaches stuff. He actually he was also the person who kind of inspired me to build my home studio. I remember he picked up equipment once, and we were just chatting, and we're in my main bedroom just like picking it up, and then I'm like telling him, I've got 2 bedrooms, and he's like, why don't you just convert this one into like your studio? Because like, you know, you just have a smaller bedroom, but you've got a home studio then. And it's like, you know what, fucking facts. And then like he left, and then that whole night I just like removed all my shit. Everything just went out and turned into my studio. So I do have Dong to thank for that. But you know, I'm not picking his image just because, you know, he's done a really good solid on that. But this is a great image. I love it. It's so cool. Oh, content warning. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. We have a content warning coming up with this one. So just, yeah, giving you guys a heads up if you want to just switch this one off, or you want to kind of like, yeah, not go through it. But yeah, this is from Diego Fedel. So yeah, this shot is from his time documenting the Ukraine war. He's from Italy, but he has quite an affinity for Ukraine. And this photo is one about. Sorry, I'm just gonna read it. So it's part of his project east of the Dnipro River, and basically it's about just like the war and how the Ukraine forces arriving at the Russian line of defense, known as the Surovikin line, to the south town of Robotyne, and they're looking to begin their attack with the people, but based off, you know, how war is, it's not always cut and dry. And these are soldiers that have been shot and killed, and Diego has been on the front lines with the soldiers and capturing these moments, and it is just a really heartbreaking shot. It's very brave to get this, and just with how, you know, the legs just all kind of connect together is pretty intense. So I'll probably just kind of move on to this one because it's pretty hard to watch. But yeah, it's a great shot from Diego, and I do have one more for him. That's a bit less like this, but it's just also really shot. And we have Guido Oliveira, commercial photographer. I think he's from the States. Don't even know how I find these photographers from the States, to be honest. Where is he from? Yeah, oh, actually, I know where I got. He's part of a collective that I'm part of, just like this thing called Moments Collective, which has been a really lovely group of people from around the world that make great images. And this one is one that I love a lot. Actually, I take it back. It's not a commercial photographer. It's actually it's a documentary project. Sorry, it's from a project called Hachu, and it's about just like the changes of the Pampa biome in southern Brazil. So he's from Brazil, and yeah, this one's great. Like, it's hectic. It's so cool. It's great. It's great. Just use of this horse jumping over the frame. Be very scary for him to do that, by the way. Like, he'll be also like just he's really putting himself out in harm's way. But you just have such great like synergy, like synchronization with our cowboys with the lassos, kind of trying to tame these horses and whatnot. And those two on the left there imply that there's probably other horses. They've got their own horse, and this guy in the foreground is like, that's his target. That's who he's after. And so it kind of reveals both the community and this guy's story in this one image, and it's so dramatic and powerful. And yeah, it's solid work from Guido. I really love it. It makes me want to kind of live out in the American West, and well, no, sorry, not the American West. It's in Brazil. Yeah, it just makes me want to just kind of go out in the fields and ride horses and shit. So, well done. And this last one I reckon this will be our last favorites of the image. I reckon we'll do our top 20 at the end, at the last day. So day 3, we'll have our top 20. I reckon, and then yes, we'll do 10 more. What time did we start? Yeah, we started about an hour and a bit ago. Yeah, so I reckon we'll go through 10 more images, and then I reckon we'll wrap up day 2. Let me just... How long have we gone for? I don't know. Oh yeah, I've gone for an hour and a half. So yeah, I reckon we'll wrap this up after the 10. So, but this is Starry. I met Starry at CCP, just hanging around, you know. And she's like an art photographer in Melbourne, originally based in... I'm gonna say Japan, but I might be wrong. Might be off there. Don't quote me on that. But she's more of an art-based photographer, also portrait photographer, and yeah, her images are really cool. They're very dreamy, and her work's been quite inspirational with some of my work that I do, where it's a bit more abstract and surreal. I do like kind of exploring more of this dream world that, you know, we don't ever really see except in our dreams. And Starry, I think, has a really great affinity for sorry. Yeah, but she's like got a great vision to kind of be like this poetic artist, and I believe they are self-portraits, which is also even better, like more impressive, considering like the way she's lit it and the way that the light's fallen on her and the effects of the kind of like the stardust that comes off. I believe it's all in camera, and yeah, and she's doing so well. She's like apparently she's part of like something like a collective or something, or where did she's been in something that was really interesting. Just give me 1 second while I just quickly find where it was. Yeah, she had an exhibition in Perth. Actually that was last year though. She's done a few exhibitions. She's done one. Oh, I'm so sorry, Starry. I apologize that I'm getting this off. But yeah, I'll find it later. But you should just look her up on Instagram. She's super cool. But yeah, she seems to always incorporate some kind of like elements of stardust or kind of spatial kind of alleviation in these frames, and you know, I'd love to go to one of her galleries to really get to see what her conceptual ideas are, rather than just looking at it at face value. But I don't mind that. I don't know much about it at the moment because I think it is always just really good to just look at it and just feel it, and it makes you feel good. All right, let's go to our final 10, and then we'll wrap up. Nathan Larkin, he is from PSE. He's a teacher. He is our print master. He works at the print shop at PSE, and he is just absolutely a fantastic person. He's such a great printer. He knows exactly like what correct paper type and the type of images require for what, like certain tonalities and colors and etc. He's super well informed, and he's also very generous with his time. He's got so much fucking prints to do, but he spends so much of his time just talking to people and educating them about stuff and giving them, like, you know, great stories to tell about his life and what he does. And it's good because and you know, when you go to uni, you hope you have teachers that, you know, give you the time to, you know, talk to you and stuff. And then Nathan's definitely one of these teachers that just really does give you the time, and I really do appreciate everything that he does for the course. And this photo has a few little, like, kind of stories to it. One of them is, this is like the template image that Nathan uses to show people you know, different types of paper and how it affects the colors and the textures and whatnot. And because this one's so rich in color, it's great like example template to use, so we can kind of assess like how a certain paper changes based off what one you're grabbing. But this one's also based off his time in Thailand. And from memory, I'm really going to be upset if I get it all wrong here, but I think it was like somewhat of like a homeless person who kind of got by selling balloons. Sorry, something stuck. From memory, he got this photo of this gentleman in Thailand, and he's quite broke and quite poor, but he sells balloons, but he doesn't really make much money off it. However, he gets so much joy out of just seeing like kids like being really happy and enjoying, you know, this gift of balloons. Hopefully Nathan has the info. No, he doesn't. But I think I'm on the money. Nathan can pull me up if I'm wrong, or Ollie. But yeah, it's called The Balloon Man, and yeah, this one it's just like this great kind of character study of this dude who just passes around really lovely like gifts to children, but he's also kind of struggling himself. So there's like this dichotomy of kind of like you know, happy emotion and sad emotion, and then also it's just a good shot just with how colorful it is, and his use of like using the film is really nice. This photo got into the APA Awards, Australian Photography Awards, I think, which is very much well deserved. And yeah, it's just a nice like simple shot with a character that is got a lot of backstory and intrigue to it. But you know, Nathan's the guy to talk about it to more because it's his experience and his time there. So yeah, good shot, Nath. David Caird, he's a wildlife photographer mostly, or a press photographer generally. This shot is him at a Ballarat Wildlife Park, and this cute little koala is called Obi-Wan, and yeah, he's just got this really nice shot of this, you know, cute little koala just like washing up and cleaning, and you know, it's just a pretty image. I'm not too familiar with many wildlife photos, and I thought like maybe it might be nice to, because like I love David's work, and David's got like a great eye in his photojournalist portfolio, but I just thought, oh, you know, maybe I just wanted to mix up the genres a little bit here, and you know, go for wildlife. But I'm not too like attuned to wildlife photography. I don't follow many of them, so this is like one of the rare ones that I see on my feed. But I love it. It's great. It's a great shot. But I think this kind of just like also represents like David's work in general, like just really nice images to go about. Ying Ang. Ying Ang had a show at CCP early this year. Oh, look, he's here. Hello. So wait, are you able to watch this live stream, like pre-recorded already? Because I did you like an hour ago. Yeah. Anyway, Ying Ang, she did a show at Peace, CCP, like maybe like early this year, and this series, I don't believe this is from the series. Now that I looked up my research, I think it might be, but I don't think so. But either way, the series that reminds me that sticks to me is the series where she is documenting her firstborn or her baby, and she's kind of exploring maternity depression and how it has affected her mental health and her perception on motherhood. And she's kind of layered the image, the series of images at the gallery, like it reminded me a lot of like Eraserhead, where it starts out kind of very abstract images, but that's kind of like symbolizing the womb and kind of her, the embryos and the process of having a baby. But it's kind of shot very kind of grotesque and kind of creepy, which kind of implies of this kind of like impending dread of being a mother. I'm not a mother, never will be, not a female, never will be. So I don't know exactly these kind of internal feelings that would come about it, but she's clearly expressing some sort of kind of negative association with parenthood, and her images are really effective in presenting that. So she kind of mixes like a blend of abstract photography, landscape, and kind of portraiture. And with her series of the post maternal depression, she had a kind of like a nanny cam in the baby's crib, and she like documented like the first year of his life. But the nanny cam's got this very like kind of, it's like night vision, so it makes the baby's eyes like really glow and make them look kind of demonic and whatnot. And then just having these really like, and this shot is the shot that kind of best illustrated her landscape type photography, because it's very distant, it's very isolating. And in her series, it wasn't boats, but it was like apartment blocks. And I think what it was showing was like her kind of living alone in this apartment, and she's just this one apartment against thousands, and she's got this like just feeling like there's like nothing to like feel connected to, even though she's a parent. So I really did love her series. I'd love to remember its name, but if you just look up like Ying Yang parent series, that's what it'll be, and it's really impressive. Oops. Brendan Smith's just a mate of mine. We met him at just like a party at the Peninsula, because I'm originally from the Peninsula, and he loves his astrophotography. Similar to wildlife, astro's not really kind of like what I see on my feeds, but when I see people who do it, it's still like really cool. And Brendan's a good friend, or Brendan's a friend, and Brendan and I are friends, and yeah, he's just good to see his work kind of come in. He always does a lot of this kind of astro stuff, and I believe this one he went out to like Macedon or something, and yeah, he just left the exposure, and then he got this great streak of the night sky. I honestly should do it myself, to be honest. It's like there's nothing stopping me. I just don't know how long I actually have to drive out to get these shots, and I'm up against like people like Brendan and all these other astrophotographers that are just like unparalleled. So I don't know. I think I'll just do it just based out of my own enjoyment rather than make work for it. But yeah. Xiang Hunshin. Xiang is from, I'm assuming from Melbourne, but where's he actually? I got a question. Should I do one more section of my top 20, top 50? I feel like I should wait. I feel like I should do the top 20 tomorrow, just so that there's a bit, because I feel like if we start at 15, it's just a bit kind of awkward, and we can kind of hype it up a little bit. Yeah. So, Xiang Hunshin. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so he's I don't know where he's from actually. I think he's from Switzerland. I think he lives in Switzerland. No, he's in Sydney. Sorry, he lives in Sydney. Um, but he's got a very interesting style of street photography because he shoots very natural, but the way he lights he grades his images, they pop a lot. They pop a lot more than usual. I really like that though. I like that he's kind of giving a lot of attention to specific areas of the frame where it comes to the colors, because it's hard to get a good blend, and you know, digital photography gives you this benefit of manipulating colors, and I really don't see a huge problem in it as long as the colors come from a place of kind of naturalism and realism. I think when you have people who just bring those sliders all the way up to the right and boost up the sat and make everything look so crisp and shit, it's just like ugly as, and it doesn't reflect like the natural state of photography, and I don't think there's really a place for that kind of color grading. I really think that's just not, there's no interest for me for that at all. Purely just for clout. It's just like a clout thing. But Young's got like a really kind of good sensibility of how he's grading it, even though there's quite a bit of application to it. It's used really well, and I do like it a lot. And then this one's just a good shot because of her emotion coming from whatever she's looking at. I'm wondering where she's thinking, and just like this idea of like her outfit, kind of like where do these people go? Like, what is like she doing? Like, where is she going? You know? And it is just, oh, hello. Sorry, my cat wants to play. We're almost done. But yeah, no, it's really good. I really like it a lot. It's a very just powerful shot with her arms kind of spreading across to the edge of the frame and her looking up to the distance of whatever she's kind of concerned at. Matthew Stott, he's a fashion photographer just from Melbourne. I've really just recently met him recently. But yeah, he's a super lovely guy, really helpful. He's kind of like helping me out in the studio. I'm helping him out in the studio in Collingwood, or Fitzroy, sorry. And yeah, he's just got a lot of great images in his portfolio, and yeah, he's super helpful. He's super funny. Like, he's got a great personality when he's working. You know, that's the good thing about working with people in portraiture who are just vibes. Like, you don't want to deal with really gross anal people who are just like, you know, not fun to work around. And Matt really employs an environment that, you know, gives you comfortability and also being professional, because he's quite switched on. Like, he's a very you know, good photographer. He's a great photographer, so he knows what he wants. And so when we get out there, he's like, he knows what he's after, specific things, and it's great. And it's great to have someone who kind of is like, wants to make his images as good as possible, you know. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to working with him more and getting to see what he does in other shoots. And yeah, I just like love to keep seeing, you know, his work, you know, come about. This one in particular, I mean, I haven't really talked about this photo, sorry. This one is just like, yeah, it's great use of the backdrop lighting, and yeah, the outfits. I think I mentioned this yesterday, but you can't really have like, you can have a good portrait shot, but a great fashion shot is always like also like the accumulation of great lighting, great composition, but also just like costume and hair and makeup. Like, this is so fantastic, and it's just how it looks, and it really just adds to the image. It's just makes it a lot more poppy, and the contrast with the blue as well works solidly, and it's very well like lit with her head and her body angled in this direction, and it's managed really, really nicely. Jean-Marie Decha, JM Street Photography. Oh, sorry, gang. So she's from Melbourne. Actually, no. I believe she's actually international. She just, we just keep in chat just because of like our love for photography. But, yeah, her work's really good. I love it a lot. I'm kind of feel like I'm repeating myself now, which is a great sign of maybe time to wrap up, because definitely I can be a bit more specific with future videos, but I'm trying to give everyone the attention that they deserve for sure, because each image is worthy of a really good little kind of conversation about it. But this one is just like a really nice image of this like service dog being a cutie with the ice cream. Like one of these things that when you're out looking for a shoot shot is just to find things that are a bit out of the ordinary. And I think this shot just works best because it is like a service dog. It's not just like a traditional puppy that's wanting food. And then it's like the tongue. It's also the like, as I mentioned earlier, it's like the punctum of it, where the tongue is so strange and out of the ordinary that it kind of creates that kind of final touch of it, and it lines up with all those rolls of the poor pug. So many rolls. It's so cute. I love pugs though. They're so cool. And also just the fact that it's a service dog implies maybe there's something with the owner. Like maybe she is got bad vision, and that's the puppy that's taking care of it, or maybe it's just like a service dog who's having a break or something, and just like wants a treat, and the owner is off elsewhere. But it's good. Ebony Williamson, she's a friend of mine, and she does a lot of erotic portrait photography. It's quite interesting because like I met her at a festival with my mates. Like one of my mates was kind of seeing her, and we were just chatting, and I then like she just whipped out that she does all this photography, and I look at her, I'm like, whoa, sick. Like I don't do erotic photography, but like she does it in such a really, you know, good way, like a cool way of like, you know, kind of capturing the kind of emotion of you know, passionate relationships. And she's got a great repertoire of clients that always come back to her because she's just so good with how they work and with how she works with them, and she lights them in very great, like interesting cinematic ways, where she's generally using like a single light with a lot of shadow detail, which creates that kind of like eroticism and the kind of my cat's scratching my couch. Almost done. And yeah, and so if you look up her Instagram, Airbordia, she's just got a really good portfolio of really well lit and well composed, great subjects with her erotic photography. By Gracie is she's a fashion photographer, I believe, or she does a lot of kind of poppy work. Yeah, she's a very kind of like editorial magazine photographer, and she's got a great eye for capturing like the coolness of fashion. You know, there's that kind of like Y2K aesthetic in photography that kind of people reminisce on, especially now. Like they look back at like these fashion styles and the aesthetics of that era, and people always try to replicate it at parties, and they always try to like imply it with the music that they listen to, etc. And Gracie's like a visual embodiment of that kind of era of images and aesthetics. So she shoots like a lot of film with flash subjects that wear these wear these kind of outfits. This one in particular I really like, just the choice of backdrop, the orange, and kind of the demeanor of like sitting on the chair. But this one is also like more of the more of the studio base, but she does do quite a lot of like exterior shoots with like a flash outside. Very cinematic, very well lit. I'd love to work with her. I don't think I've even met her yet, but she's one of those photographers that I would love to kind of like get to be around and learn how she does her thing, and you know, just be a part of that vibe for sure. Matt Draper is a very impressive engineer as well as a photographer. He is kind of doing his own underwater housing business right now called Sub 13. Oh shit, sorry Matt. It was Sub 13 Collective, and that's basically like building these rigs for Leica cameras, where they can use them custom built, hand engraved, etc. And Matt did hit me up a few months ago. He wanted to sell one to me, and I was really tempted to do it. I was so keen to have that kind of rig for underwater shoots, especially with my cameras. But the problem is just that the prices were a bit too much for me, and it's a shame because they are limited edition, custom built. You know, they had to sell quite quickly, and if I just had a bit more in the bank, I would have just bought it instantly. And he's got a relationship with like Trent Park and Narelle, so I felt really honoured to be even offered to have one of his stuff, which was made even more of a shame that I had to turn it down. But you know, when the time comes and I can have the funds to do it, you know, definitely I'm going to be on Matt's tail. And he's also he's just a very generous person because he was offering really great deals as well to just like somehow manage the expense of his equipment. But even that, it's just I couldn't justify it just because of like how quiet this year's been. But either way, like it's not much about me; it's about his work. And when you look at his work, he is just a fantastic underwater photographer, and he creates such rich abstract portraits of fish, of sharks and underwater animals. And I don't know how he does it. Like I don't even know, but this one in particular is the one I chose because it's a great white, for God's sake, and it's moving. And where's he at? What's he doing? Like, how did he get that? And I don't ask him because I don't want to know. I want to keep it mysterious. He seems like he's in a flash and everything. And he was even mentioning about underwater, like flash rigs and shit. So super cool. Matt's a great person, really lovely. He's from America and Australia. And then, he's from New Zealand, I think. I think he's from New Zealand and America. But yeah, he's building some really fantastic tools for more cool shoots. And that's it. All right. So we've done it. We have completed day 2. How many are on the chat? How many we got? We got 3 concurrent viewers. I think that's good. Happy to wrap it up if you guys are happy. I'd like to thank everyone again for their willingness to come watch me talk about photographers for a bit. I reckon we'll wrap it up tomorrow night, where we'll go for our final few selected photos. And I'll share what I've just posted on Instagram in like half an hour or so, get some tags out. And yeah, I should like to thank you all again to come along, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So thanks again.